Historically, beaver were often looked at as a commodity or a nuisance. More recently, after gaining a perspective of their ecological role, landowners have instead begun to value them as partners or even teachers. Farmers, ranchers, landowners, and business people have discovered how beaver can help stimulate their land productivity, enhance their land's natural beauty, and increase the value of their property. Beaver's role in keeping our watershed healthy, our wildlife and vegetation diverse and vibrant, and our water supply clean, cool, and abundant is more evident now than ever. In New Mexico, a number of landowners have adopted this mindset.
My name is Josh Miner, and we're on the Fort Union Ranch. I am the resource manager here, and we've done a considerable amount to restore this stream section, which is called Wolf Creek.
So my name is Tiffany Oman, and I am the owner of the Taos Canyon Stop RV Park. We are up here in the Taos Canyon, halfway between Taos and Angel Fire.
My name is Clay Getch. This is my family's farm. It is located about 7.5 miles from Wathros.
My name is William Gonzalez. Today we're here in Lourdes, New Mexico. Lourdes, New Mexico is a small farming community that was established around 1841 as a community. The community that has an acequia system. We have a land grant.
My name is Ralph Vigil. We're here in East Pecos along the Pecos River, where my family farm is, Molino de la Isla Organics. My family's been here for, well, I'm 8th generation, so almost 200 years.
I'm Cece Culver here at Owl Peak Farms in La Madera, New Mexico. The properties that encompass the farm are on two rivers, the Tusas and the Caliente. So all up and down this river is beaver.
To benefit farmers, beaver can help raise the water table and recharge aquifers, making more water available for crops. Helping grow more food, even when irrigation water is unavailable. Farmers take their responsibility of tending the land seriously so it can sustain them into the future. Beaver make their job much easier.
In my experience, what I have noticed is that the bed of the river, where you have a beaver dam, for the immediate area behind it, it tends to become raised up because of the sediment that gets trapped behind it. And here, I've seen that here. And the places where they sit, the bed raises up. I have noticed a lot more willow since I was small. I've also noticed there are a lot more aquatic plants that thrive in kind of the shallow parts of the reservoir.
So when I purchased the properties, that's what I began with, was that beavers were on the part of the river that I use for farming. And the benefit of having them there was so tremendous, first of all, by fascination, the genius, but then also of what they created within these various environments that I farm on. And one is that the water table, we built the first thing we did was restore soil here, so it's very important is water and soil. And we built what's called hugel cultures, where you dig into the ground, create a pond, and then build that with wood and green manures and manure and cover that with dirt. Well, what happened was in that pit that we dug, you could see the water level. So when the beavers had a dam going, the water level rose. When they were gone, it went down. So it was an incredible educational thing for all of us.
So I think that there is a parallel relationship, particularly for farmers who use an acequia system. And if you look at our acequia systems, they're similar to what the beaver does. They block water. We have a diversion dam. They move water to a different direction. We run water in a ditch. And so their work expands the ecosystem within the river corridor in many ways. acequias basically have the same effect. We take water way up here, we divert it, and all this area between the acequia and the river now becomes a very rich habitat.
Many ranchers inherently see the benefit of beaver, whose ponds sub-irrigate large areas, often increasing forage productivity by a factor of 5.
Beavers absolutely increase the value, habitat value, species diversity, the ecological value of your riparian corridor. They're encouraging the lateral movement of water into the banks. They're improving access of the water in the stream channel to its floodplain. They're promoting the riparian vegetation, which in this arid southwest is dwindling and dying out. In this Wolf Creek channel, where we have done in-stream restoration, essentially building structures that mimic structures that beaver would build, we've seen immediate response by vegetation. So we're seeing upwards of 4, maybe even 5,000 pounds per acre in an area that previously grew 1,500 pounds or 2,000 pounds per acre. So, so the available forage, in addition to the available water, has had a marked uplift in carrying capacity of the ranch.
Beaver help keep water in local areas longer during drought, providing perhaps the only water source for livestock, and keeping pastures greener longer.
I've been very involved in the adjudication of water rights on the Gallinas, and so I've had an opportunity to basically walk almost every irrigated field throughout the basin. I'm familiar with the headwaters of the Gallinas, and well, the beavers themselves here in this area in Lourdes, we've only had one experience with beavers that I can remember. But I know that up in the Gallinas Canyon area, where I used to frequent very much growing up as a kid, beavers have provided, some of the best fishing spots up in the Gallinas. But if you look at the real benefit that I see from the beavers, particularly up in the top of the watershed, is the ability to hold water at that elevation, so you have a sustained flow rather than the rushing water coming through at once, all in the spring runoff. The benefit of their dams is, of course, they're holding water in place there, and it has a trickle-down effect. And so I see that as a very beneficial aspect of the beaver's work, yes.
Well, the impounding of water, and so the more water you have, the more it spreads out the grazing, and that's all good stuff, so that they don't concentrate out in the few waters that we do have. And every beaver adds more water holes for the cattle.
Yeah, and I would add from a perspective of looking at the scars of erosion, beavers help to heal those scars and allow that to be aesthetically more pleasing to people interested in land that may not want that land for cattle or for agriculture, but it's also nice to look at. I think that the main thing would be to think about what an increased or a higher water table could really do for their land. And if they had beavers in the upper reaches of their land and in their watersheds, for them to sort of think about what a doubling of forage production down below would look like and what that could do for their bottom line. I think that would be the number one convincing factor for many landowners. Not all landowners, many would want to do it just because it's the right thing to do, but it also impacts the bottom line.
Beaver ponds provide refuge for trout and help trap sediment. Many cold water fish, like trout, require low sediment conditions.
Beavers are an important component to a healthy riparian ecosystem. They offer several benefits to fish populations, especially trout and other native fish species found in first, second, and third order streams. Trout require complex and diverse habitats, including large pools, and the large pools are probably one of the most important habitat components for trout habitat. These pools provide refugia during warm summer months, and especially during low flow periods like during the winter. The beaver dams and ponds meet this habitat requirement and help trout survive these critical stressful times. Beaver ponds also flood woody debris and grassy areas, which provide cover for several life stages of trout, especially younger trout. They provide nursery habitat for these guys. The ponds also provide space for larger fish. They provide food for larger fish. And actually we find some of our largest trout during our fish population surveys in these beaver complexes. And beaver ponds also provide a benefit to anglers. Anglers are drawn to large pools when they're fishing, and that's exactly what a beaver pond is. It's a large pool full of lots of fish to catch.
Beaver add beauty, intrigue, rich wildlife habitat, and fun to private lands, making recreational business more profitable and increasing property values.
Obviously, we own an RV park, so we have a lot of guests coming and going, and I have so many of them stop in at the office when they're leaving, just saying how amazing it was to get to see the beavers. They literally put on a show every evening. About 7 o'clock, like clockwork, they'll come out. If the kids stand on our pond bridge, they'll splash the bridge for them. And it's funny during the week, if we don't have a lot of guests, I don't really see them. I think they just kind of stay in the river. But it's definitely something special that our RV park can offer.
You know, just the whole aesthetics, you know, that brings some value to your land as far as sentimental type value. You know, I'm the type of person that doesn't look at value when it comes to land as money in monetary forms or shapes. I see value as land-based people, our connections to the land. So that's one of the huge values, is that fishing, you know, habitat's huge to this ecosystem. The more habitat we create, the more living things can thrive within this habitat. That's why the acequia systems, as extensions of the rivers providing these green belts, are such important pieces of the state and should not be severed, because it provides those corridors for these beavers, deer, birds, tons of species, insects, you name it, it's here. So beavers contribute to that. It's a team. As I see this ecosystem working in balance, it's beautiful. Slowing down the water so that our water is not running straight through fast. It's actually penetrating. It's actually soaking in, seeping in, providing that water, which is life, as we say here, agua es vida, being able to put those recharges back so these ecosystems can flourish.
Beaver help create a sense of health and vitality, which is so important in our arid environment. Farmers, ranchers, landowners, and business people appreciate the help they get from beaver. By raising the water table, recharging aquifers, slowing water during storm events, adding water back into the stream when we are in drought, increasing plant productivity, and creating diverse wildlife habitat.
So the beaver have really improved my stewardship of the land. They've helped me out with that tremendously. We have seen incredible migratory birds come through here. We had Canadian geese nest on our island. They had 4 babies, survived the whole season. I had mallard ducks. We had 2 sets of those born. One had 10 babies, one had 8, and in fact we just saw them. They came back. The young have just come back to our pond today, believe it or not. And we've seen some rare birds. I've had bird guests, I guess if you want to call them. Had some amateur photographers up here stay, and what they've come to the office and told me they've seen just blows your mind, really.
Restoring beaver across the landscape can help us naturally manage our water supply, making clean, cool, and abundant water more available for all of us. Landowners are realizing that beaver can help them to keep their land healthy. If the beaver are left to do what they do best, they are natural engineers after all.
Just let the beavers be beavers.